Happy Halloween, everybody! The mask is off. Well, is it? Still on. We're here to give you the mammoth preview coming into this weekend's game with West Ham. So coming up, we have Kyle, who's going to be talking about a generic preview. And then we've got Johnny, who's going to be looking at a few West Ham players to keep an eye out. We've got Rob, who's doing the fantasy side, where he's going to be doing a combined 11. A couple of interesting things in there as well. And of course, we've got Mr. Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV, who we'll be meeting after the game on Saturday. So we've got a packed show for you. Let's get on with the generic preview, and this is Kyle taking a look at the game.
The failure to beat Wolves at the weekend, a very below par Wolves, might add. It's left us a bit deflated, I'm not going to lie. It's because obviously the next couple of games you've got likes of West Ham, you've got Man City in there, some huge games coming up, and Wolves was a really missed opportunity for me. I think us sitting back in the second half really cost we, and we could have easily had 3 points. Who would our best players be going into that? For me, I think it's going to be a battle of the midfield, because West Ham have some really good players there. They have likes of Paulo Fornals, they have Mark Noble, Declan Rice in that midfield, who are very solid and can give you a rough afternoon when they play well. For us, it's going to be difficult. Sean Longstaff suspended for this one, so I'm pretty gutted about that. So that being said, who steps up and comes in? Matty Longstaff's got to be a given. I think he's came in and done very well since his debut against Man United. So I think Matty Longstaff makes for one of them. Defensively, I think we should stick with the same kind of back five if injuries and that are still the same. If Fabian Schär makes it back and is fully fit, I'd obviously play him, but who comes in instead? I think Fernandes, despite having a solid game, would probably make way for Fabian Schär as he plays on that side. The major talking point will probably be Almiron. The lad's very devoid of confidence at the moment, and you can tell every time he's in front of goal, you can just tell he's scared to hit the ball. So there are calls from minor sections of the fans for him to be dropped. I'm gonna stick with him though. I'd prefer him to stay in the squad, because I think when he finally notches and gets that goal, I think he'll be fine. I really do. So I'm gonna stick with Almiron in the team. I'm gonna stick with Jolinton as well. I just think he needs some service. But West Ham going into this game, they're all right on. They've got some good players. Personally, I think we're going to play 5 at the back again. I think, despite what Bruce has said in his recent press conference and things like that with mentality, I still think he'll stick with a Rafa-esque lineup, and I think he'll play a 5-2-3 formation with the two wingers on the front three being inside forwards and playing in midfield, a bit like Wolves. What I'd like to see from them though, and Bruce didn't get any credit for this because obviously it ended in a draw, but in the first half against Wolves, we played with wing backs very high up, and we had a lot of control of the ball. We're creating chances. Jolinton was getting a bit of joy in between the channels. Almiron was. Saint-Maximin was getting on the ball, and full credit to him, because when we play like that, we'll play a lot better, and I don't think Wolves knew how to tackle that. So it might, even though we're away from home and it is a bit of a risk, it might be worth actually pushing them forward again and trying to implement something and trying to get an early goal, because there's no point going to the Olympic Stadium and trying to sit back for 90 minutes, because we'll get found out and they will pick us apart eventually. So I'd like to see what we've seen in the first half against Wolves, pushing the wing backs forward, trying to get on the ball, trying to make something of it, and giving it a go, because I don't want to just sit back in one half and hope for a good counter-attack from Maximin or Almiron, because let's be honest, it's not working at the minute. We're 17th for a reason, and we need to push forward, get on the ball and try and make something happen. Get Shelvey involved into the game, get Almiron involved, get ASM involved, and try and make something of it. My last question in my notes for my research is, can we get anything from this game? With what I've just discussed, I feel if we can play like that and put West Ham under a bit of pressure, I really don't see why not. I think even though West Ham are a decent side, we can get something. I mean, Sheffield United got something at the Olympic Stadium just weekend gone and got a 1-1 draw. So if they can get a point, I know they've got a decent defence down the Wilder, but we can get something there too. If we can get on the ball, put them under pressure and try and get something, go for it, instead of this sitting back. And you know what I mean, the first half against Wolves is the blueprint going forward, in my opinion. Cautiously optimistic that we can pick up a point on Saturday, and I think it'll be a decent point as well if we were to get that. Yeah, I'll catch you in a bit.
He makes a good point. Yeah, Sean Longstaff going to be suspended in it, but luckily we've got Isaac Hayden's going to come back into that side. Look, he's optimistic that we can go down there. Obviously, I'm going down with Kyle and meeting up with Isha later on, but I'm optimistic that I can try and get something from it. And, you know, if you do like these type of videos that we are doing, give us a like. Give us a like. Do it now. Give us a like. Go on. Hit that like button. Thank you if you've done that, because we do put a lot of effort into this type of video as well. And also, if you want to see loads more videos, we've got our fan subscriptions. So if you want to see behind the scenes videos that we do, stuff that's happening with the channel, what we're up to, jump over to Facebook and join our fan subscription group. Why not? It supports the channel and you see what we're always up to, and you get first dabs on any questions that we might throw at us, including the radio show. Now we're going to move off it and we're going to go over to Johnny, who's filmed on his Nokia from 1994. Johnny's had a few issues with his videos being sent over, so you probably see it's not as clear, but he's mentioning a few West Ham players in shock, the all forward players. Johnny, over at you, mate.
West Ham are a funny team, in my particular opinion, because they don't scare me, but they have a couple of good players which, on the day, can do damage. I think first you have to look at Yarmolenko. Now, he's been, I think, West Ham's best player this season. He had a terrible injury last season, and for me, if he's on his left foot and he's driving at people, I think that's his biggest danger for Newcastle, because we're always suspect to a difficult, tricky winger. We've had that before when against the likes of Yadler and Kraft. If there's been a winger like I'm going to say Mo Salah and Sadio Mane for against Liverpool, he's not at that level, obviously. But we seem to struggle against those sort of wingers. We struggled with Adama Traore, I thought, last week against Wolves. So Yarmolenko's going to be a difficult person to handle, in my opinion. I think other players that we have to watch out for is the likes of Manuel Lanzini, if he's fit. He seems to be, if he's on the ball, very trickery. He seems to like to break the play, especially between the lines as well. Between the back four and the midfield, he likes that space and likes to go onto the ball. But for me, West Ham, defensively, have had a couple of good defenders in the last few years, but they're still quite suspect. And I look at Diop, for example, who's been linked with Manchester United. Has that got to his head a little bit? Because it seemed that he wasn't asking to go to Manchester United, but if the bid came on the table, I don't think he would have been thinking, well, I want to stay at West Ham. But again, I think Diop is one player that, if he's not on his A game, Joe Linton, if he takes his chances, I think can really make him work for his 3 points, because it's really difficult for Joe Linton at the minute. But we think maybe away from St James's Park against this West Ham defence, maybe if I can get a couple of chances as well. They're the sort of things that we've got to hold out for. West Ham also have a substitute goalkeeper at the minute. Lucas Fabianski picked up a terrible injury a few weeks ago, and Roberto has come in since then. I thought he was poor for the first goal for Everton. He made a couple of saves after that, which was obviously very good, but the first goal again against Everton, he's got to save that for me. Roberto comes out towards Bernard, and Bernard just slots it past him, and he should be saving it, in my particular opinion. Fabianski saves it, Dubravka saves it, so let's have plenty of shots at him. We don't have a lot of shots to Newcastle, but we need to make advantage of the fact that it's a substitute goalkeeper for West Ham at the minute. So, like Almiron and Saint-Maximin, let's try and get a bit of end product, and let's try and test this goalkeeper, because he's still quite cold in terms of being a Premier League goalkeeper. Players that also I think that Newcastle have to worry is going to be Aaron Cresswell, left back for West Ham. He's got a fantastic delivery, it really does. He's got a fantastic set piece. He also got a fantastic free kick against Manchester United, and that's actually West Ham's last win in all competitions. They also lost to Oxford a few days later in the Cup, who went on to beat Sunderland. Congratulations to Oxford as well. But since then, West Ham's form has been average, to say the least. A couple of draws and a couple of defeats. So that last win against Manchester United does seem a long time. But Cresswell, if he's got 25, 30 yards out, don't expect nothing less, maybe a shot out towards Martin Dubravka, because he has got a fantastic delivery. The last person I'm really going to speak about is, I think, Mr. West Ham, Mark Noble. He always plays for West Ham. He was linked with Newcastle a few years ago, and Alan Pardew was in charge. Reportedly turned us down back in the day. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, Mark Noble, very dependable. He keeps the ball, likes to keep the ball, likes to dictate the play. Look, he's not your N'Golo Kante type. He's not that good, but for West Ham, he's shown that he's a good player at that level, and we need to try and make it difficult. He's very experienced as well for him. Let's try and make sure that him and Rice don't get the ball too much, and maybe get Matty Longstaff and Isaac Hayden, who we expect to start in the centre of midfield. So yeah, that's looking at the opposition from me against West Ham. I'll take you back to Lee to continue the preview.
Oh, thank you very much for giving that back to us for the controls. Cheers, Johnny. Right, yes. So there's a few forward players that Johnny's obviously mentioned here. Yarmolenko is in good form. Haller, I think Haller is the one for me. Let us know what you lot think, of course, in the comments. But I think Sebastian Haller, we were linked to him for years, but Newcastle would never kind of go and chuck that money. He's obviously compared Haller to Joe Linton, both coming from the Bundesliga, but Haller, for me, looks the better player so far. Joe Linton's got to still impress. The jury's out on him by many Newcastle fans. 1 goal in, 10 now? So, but Haller, for me, I think will play the wing-back system. I really do. I agree with Kyle, I agree with Johnny. I think it will be the wing-back system. It'll be no surprise to learn with Rob's video in a moment that he's gone for a combined 11 with wing-back. Shocker. So I agree on that sense as well. But I've just literally mentioned Rob. Rob, hit us with your combined 11, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Lee. Yes, this is me, Rob, doing the combined 11. And I do apologise in advance for my voice. I'm not well, and so thank you for letting me do this video because I get bored out of my mind when I'm not well. So in goal, I've gone for Martin Dubravka. We of course all know he has excellent quality. You got Łukasz Fabianski for West Ham, who's out injured at the moment, leaving the gloves to Roberto. Good name, but not a good enough goalkeeper, I don't think, certainly when you compare him to Martin Dubravka. Then over in right wing back, I've gone for Ryan Fredericks. Good player, good young player. Seen him a few times this season, and he's keeping Pablo Zabaleta out of the team. You must be a good player if you are doing that, because I think Zabaleta, although he's dipped a bit with age, yeah, I think he's a really good player. So I think Fredericks, he's doing a really good job this season. Gone for Captain Jamal Lascelles, obvious reasons probably. Fabian Schär, who I hope will be available. And then for West Ham, the other centre-back slot, I've gone for Issa Diop. Really pacey. He's made a good start, good young centre-back as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses over the years. I think he's got a big future ahead of him. So I think he's doing a good job as well at the moment at West Ham. Over in left wing back, and my voice is just getting that a little bit worse. I've gone for Jetro Willems. Of course, there's word that Matt Ritchie might be back in time. People are understandably saying if Ritchie's fit, play him. You have to play Ritchie because he's such an instrumental leader out there in the dressing room and out there on the pitch. But at the moment, I just think in order to ease him back in to the squad, you've got to start him on the bench at least. And hey, Jetro Willems, he's in excellent form as well. So I think that is my back five sorted. Let's go for 2 central midfielders. I've gone for Mark Noble. He's at the age of 32 now. I just think he's a great player. I think when you look back towards World Cup 2014 and the Euros in 2016, even the qualifying stages of those tournaments, he should have been playing for England. Excellent player. I think you can add him to that list that Steve Bruce is on of great players to have never played for England. And then the other central midfielder, and I think some people will disagree with me on this, Isaac Hayden. He will be back from suspension. I'm not choosing Sean Longstaff because he'll be suspended, and also I'm not going to be choosing Matty Longstaff because he's only played 3 top flight games. I think he's great run of form, but I think he needs to continue this in order to start proving himself at this high level. Start on the right wing. We'll go for this was a close one to call. I've gone for Alan Saint-Maximin. Very close call between him and Andriy Yarmolenko. 2 good players, I think, very similar in quality. Yeah, it was a toss-up basically. So yeah, I've gone for Saint-Maximin. And then over on the left wing, I've gone for Felipe Anderson. He's a player who can dominate a game sometimes, like he did against us back in December. He can just run the show sometimes. In that position, we play Miggy Almiron. And sorry Almiron, but the performances this season have just not been good enough. It was great to see him play with a bit more confidence over the weekend against Wolves, but at the same time, he's just lacking in confidence, and I think that's really affecting his performances. And then up top, the sole striker, I've gone for Sebastian Haller. Of course, this was a choice between him and Joe Linton, two players who scored quite a few goals in last year's Bundesliga. I followed the Bundesliga quite avidly. Haller was really effective in a front three role alongside Luka Jovic and Ante Rebic. But now those two other players haven't travelled with him to West Ham. But I just get the feeling Haller, he's going to score in the region of 10 to 15 goals this season. I reckon with the Longstaff, not putting a Longstaff brother in there, people won't be happy. But yes, that's my combined 11. Back to you, Lee. Thank you very much, guys.
Fredericks at right wing back. That's an interesting one. Again, I agree with Haller. Rob. Saint-Maximin, yeah. Philippe Anderson, great player. Isaac Hayden comes in as well. I wonder what West Ham fans are thinking right now with that combined 11, Rob. Have you upset anybody, Rob? Have you? Let us know in the comments, West Ham fans. Right, so speaking of West Ham, obviously we're going to be down there as well. And I just want to quickly touch upon, before we hear from Dan from West Ham Fan TV, is our Amazon store is up and running. A couple of things that we want to just quickly touch upon is we've got some good books on there. We're seeing Terry Mack has just been bought as well. We've got Shay Givens, Kieran Dyer's a good read as well. So there's a few books on there. I would strongly recommend. Gary Speeds is in there as well. There's a few autobiographies. Come on, Lee, you can say it. And we've also got Andy Cole's coming as well. So jump on Amazon. There's loads of stuff in time for Christmas as well. We'll be doing a free trials as well for the Amazon games coming shortly. So link is in the description for that. Right, let's hear from Mahama. Dan, mate, over at you. Dan's been on the channel loads of times.
I'm not completely confident, to be honest with you. We're not in the best run of form. And, I mean, you guys ain't doing too bad. I mean, you're not setting the world on fire. But when you look at it, you guys, I don't think you guys lost a game in the whole of October. And we ain't won in something like 5 games. So it's not looking good. It's going to be a very, very tough one. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. We've been struggling to break teams down. I think that's our big problem. We struggle to break teams down. So if Steve Bruce goes in with a game plan to keep things tight and compact at the back and not open up too much, then I think that's definitely the way Newcastle get something out of it, because that's just been a difficulty in just the lack of creativity. Our big players, our top players, just not performing. You've got the likes of Lanzini and Felipe Anderson just not stepping up to the expected levels. We've got Fabianski injured, so we've got Roberto in goal, who, he's made some decent saves and things like that, but the last 2 games, really silly, weak goals conceded. So a bit of joy for you guys to get there. Just have some shots at him and hope he makes a mistake. So I don't 100% know how, what you guys are like in terms of shooting. I don't think you guys have scored more than 1 goal this season in a game, in a Premier League game at least, from what I saw. So that gives us a little bit of hope if we can, keep our defence on point. And yeah, I think it's just going to be, whoever wins, it's be 1 goal between each team. But yeah, I mean, we've got Sebastian Haller, who's been a great signing for us, but he's so isolated up top. He's someone that could really cause Newcastle problems, but no one who's ever near him. We get the ball up to him and he gets knocked down, and what can he do? We really should be looking at playing a 2 up top. We've only got really 1 other fit striker, and that is Jetty. Antonio's injured. It's a very trying time actually at the moment. So I'm not going into this too confident. I know I think Sean Longstaff is suspended, so we're not going to get the whole Sean Longstaff versus Declan Rice debates raging on, thank God. So that gives us a bit of optimism, because I think he's been a regular starter for you guys this season. So that's a bit of positivity. Yeah, I mean, Steve Bruce, when you look at it, I know he's probably not popular, and it is a massive step down from Rafa Benitez for you guys. But I wouldn't say he's done the worst job in the world when you look at the circumstances. I mean, you've just to come in when you've had a figure like Rafa Benitez leave, and then pick up the pieces and the lack of investment. Fair play to the geezer. If you look at it as an interim, if he can keep Newcastle up, and then you guys can look at other options. That's the hopeful. Stabilise the club after Benitez is gone. But yeah, I mean, he's been around the block, Steve Bruce. So he might have something in mind. He might have something in plan for Saturday's game. We'll see. But yeah, so I think there's just a lot of sort of weak areas that you guys can really get at us. But it is a worry that certain of our key players aren't stepping up. And that's the thing. If it goes like the longer the game goes, and if we don't score a goal, the stadium's going to start to turn. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Like I said, the fans, you'll feel it in the stadium. We're starting to get to the point now where we need to pick up 3 points. This is a really must win for us if we're going to still be aiming for that Europa League spot. If you guys win, you're only a few points behind us. I think only like go 2 points behind us. So this is massive for you guys to push away from that relegation zone. So I think it's going to be a tough game, but I'm just going to go 1-0 West Ham if I'm being optimistic. So let me know what you guys predict. Come check us over on West Ham Fan TV.
Dan, there's always problems with Newcastle. You know this. So thank you very much, Dan. I've done a video for Dan over on West Ham Fan TV, so go over and check it out as well. I'm there talking about a little bit about Newcastle, a little bit about West Ham and off the field stuff and on the field stuff. Go over, have a look at West Ham Fan TV. Their numbers are shooting through the roof at the moment. They're doing things the right way. Damn yous. But, yeah, so that is a wrap for you. I hope you enjoyed this mammoth preview, hearing from a few different people as well. Me, Isha and Kyle, sorry Kyle, I nearly forgot where you were there for a minute, are going down. Me and Kyle are going really early. It's going to be a 6 o'clock job because of London traffic. But all the drive down previews will be with you on Saturday, and all the reaction from the London Stadium, where it'll be pitch black, won't it? Because it's going to be dark by 4:30, 5 o'clock. Got the hiccups. Thank you very much, everyone. Ta-da, bye-bye.
Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust.